as well. Now, expert system obviously is a very important topic. I can surely stick to this and discuss this in more detail. So, expert systems have a lot of importance with regard to AI as well. Okay, but they're not related to AI right now. Expert systems obviously hold the knowledge of an expertise in any particular field, in medical, in mineral prospecting, in taxation. So wherever we talk about, if you want an expert system where computers can be involved and we don't have an access to an expert person, we can use an expert system. In banking, we want to calculate the credit analysis, and if it's a very complicated process, and if someone is not available who can do that for us, we can use expert system. If we don't have a very specialist doctor available for any particular field, we can use an expert system that can help us. But let's first of all discuss how expert systems are developed. Let me zoom in a bit to explain this, the most important part of all this, which is this diagram. First of all, what you have is the knowledge base. This is the first thing. When you talk about the creation of an expert system, the first thing that you need to look at is that you have to create the knowledge base. Knowledge base basically is a database that includes the knowledge of all the expert or expert persons. And this is basically done by the software engineer or the system engineer, you might say, because we're developing a system. So the system engineer will go through a process which is known as data mining. So you have a process which is data mining, okay? I can't write very clearly. So data mining basically means that you need to extract the data, retrieve the data, store the data in a database. You will questionnaire the expert persons, you will interview them, okay? You will interview, give them questions, okay? You will observe, and all that information will be saved in your knowledge base. So over a period of time, when you have collected all this information, your knowledge base is ready. Now, the user interface basically tends to be your GUI that we've always talked about, the graphical user interface. The graphical user interface obviously will include, let's say, the text box where you can type as a query, and you have a button where you can submit. A very simple case, I would say. And once you type in the query, this particular query, the question, they go from the inference engine and to the knowledge base. Inference engine basically connects your user interface with the knowledge base. But in between, we have something which is known as rule base. Rule base is very important. Rule base helps us with the if then else condition. Rule base tells us that if you find the following data, you give it to the user. So it's just like the search facility that we have. So rule base will try to extract the exact information out of the expert system's knowledge base. So once we get that particular data from the knowledge base, the inference engine will give it back to the user. Inference engine connects the user interface to the knowledge base, and with the rule base extracts that information, okay, from the knowledge base and gives it to the inference engine so that it's given back to the user interface. So that's how your expert system basically keeps working. For example, if you, God forbid, have some illness, you can go to an expert and say, I have a headache. It will ask you some questions using the rule base, because rule base will ask you multiple questions. Upon this questioning, it will come up to the conclusion that this is probably the issue. We don't say expert systems are always 100% correct. We don't say that. 100% tend to be a very good way to tell what the problem is, but they're not always 100% correct. Remember that. Expert systems, basically, how they are. Expert systems, basically, if like I told you, we need to interview. We have to interview the expert people. We need to create a knowledge base. We need to set the rule base using the if then else condition. I just told you that. If then else. We will create is the inference engine. Okay. Right. And obviously then we will test it. Advantages obviously is that expert systems can provide us with lots of consistent answers. Okay. It's not that they will forget. They will reduce our time that takes to solve a problem. They will actually help us to save a lot of money because expert people might require a lot of money. But obviously, this can also result in, to a lot of extent, it can result in your joblessness and de-skilling if it is increased more. So obviously, at times these could be a problem with decision making because if the expert system cannot answer you properly, you cannot make a decision. There could be errors in the expert system because it's a system. It could be expensive initially to buy it. Okay. And obviously, it's important that you train the people who are using the expert system. That's something really important. Okay. So components, typical question, 6 marks question comes in that you have to explain the components of expert system. What do they do? Remember, the following are there. Okay. These notes can really help you to summarize everything, the rule base. Okay. So again, coming back, you can get a question about the examples of expert system, starting from medical expert system. Then you have car fault diagnose. You can find out the car fault by attaching it on the motherboard of the car. Okay, you have generic car fault systems, and then you have specific as well. Generic can fit into any car. Specific are just built for that particular model, and they can tell you what the problem is, and you can rectify the problem. You can prospect for oil and mineral. You have an expert system that has a model built into it. It can tell you where is it possible to find what minerals. Okay, that could be really helpful. You want to find tax calculations, it can help you do that as well. Chess games, identification plants, animals. So the more knowledge base you have, the more database you have of every field, the better your expert system will be. So it's all related to your knowledge base, how properly your knowledge base has been created. Okay, so this is what an expert system actually is. Any question? Zaria, Bilal? You get the point? What the expert system is, right? Can you hear me right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Faria, Arij, Ali. Ali Hamza, any question? You got the point what expert system? I'll share these.
Yes, sir.
I'll share these notes in the group as well. Okay. Make sure you go through these
Okay,
notes.
sir.
Then you have computer in retail industry. Again, in the retail industry, automatic control systems are really important. We talk about point of sale terminals. I'm on you not obviously when you go to a store, you have point of sale terminal, you have barcode. They have all the items stored in their point of sale terminals database. When they purchase something, it is the items are subtracted from their back end stock. It's updated. Okay. If you talk about electronic point of sale terminals, we bring in the credit card. You present the credit card to them. Okay, the electronic, the next stage is basically, let me talk about this first. The electronic funds transfer at point of sale terminal. So when you use your credit card or debit card at an electronic point of sale terminal, what happens is their system is integrated with this. So first of all, your credit card is checked from the bank server that is this card valid? Does it have a proper validity date? Okay, is it not expired? Upon that, it will also check other details. If the details are correct, it will check is that the amount that you have entered you're purchasing, let's say 10,000, do you have funds available? If the funds are available, it will carry on with the process. It will deduct the amount from your bank and it will send a signal to the point of sale terminal that you can carry on with the transaction. And the point of sale terminal will carry on with the transaction, and the same thing happens. All the items that you have purchased will be subtracted from the stock control system of the shop. They will be subtracted, they will manipulate it and updated in their database. If such kind of funds are not available in your system, in your card, obviously the transaction will be held and stopped, and you can carry forward. Now, this all is a very good process because it has a lot of validations involved. Okay, it's very, very efficient in a way. So obviously using electronic funds transfer terminal is a very convenient way to manage your stock controls within any warehouse, retail store, wherever you may go. Okay, right. So, and all obviously this happens through the barcodes as well. That all details you are aware of. As I talk about all this, you will go through it and you can ask me questions. Paying for meal example again. This is just an example. I have just explained all this right now. Explained all of it. Internet shopping, all of you know it. I don't think so. I have to discuss this in detail. You know, online shopping advantages, disadvantages. You're studying still the middle school. Okay. Okay. Online shopping में क्या नहीं करना पड़ता. You don't have to go anywhere. Okay. Disadvantages, yeah. People can be worried about online shopping because of phishing, farming. Okay. Hackers can get the details about it. At times, you don't get the same product you wanted to get. Bogus sites can never even deliver the product as well. Okay. So where there you have lots of advantages of online e-commerce, there are lots of disadvantages as well. You don't get the product you wanted. In fact, even while you're browsing, you might see something else and you might get delivered something else. You might have noticed that. You cannot even feel the product, look at the quality, what it is. So that's a big issue. So if you get a question of evaluation, I think so you have relevant points to discuss. So you can discuss them. Then we have to seller. Obviously, there are lots of advantages to seller, from not paying rents, no fixed working hours. Clients can work anytime, no shoplifting. It's cheaper to contact the customers. But if you look at the disadvantages, obviously you need a website. It will lead to unemployment as well. Okay, right. Business abroad is lost, the prices are cheaper. It can have a lot of effect. You might order things directly from China. Because if you're going to a website, if you're going to order something online, why would you not order it from ABZ and why from you? Okay, so there's a lot of competition out there. You have to be competitive. That's a big issue. Okay, not everybody can access the internet. Okay, to the seller, customer's personal data is hacked. Now you might be saying why the seller is concerned about it. Well, obviously, as far as the Data Protection Act is concerned, when you make a website and when you have customers, the seller has to make sure that the customer's personal data is not hacked. It's your responsibility. Okay. Postal charges are obviously discouraged people at times. Okay, people don't want to pay. Why should I pay? But they don't understand that as obviously it's overall cheap. You don't have to travel. But still people say, why do I pay extra? That's one of the reasons why. So you have recognition systems. Obviously, like we have the automatic name and number plate. We have it in the HOR as well. Okay, you can recognize the number plate. Okay, and it can directly compare from its database. Okay, and save it. Processing of checks. At the bottom of the check, you have magnetic ink character reader that can read these characters, which are printed with magnetic ink. They can be read and processed through batch processing. Optical marker can be used for marking in schools. They can be used multiple choice questions. They can also be used in different surveys as well. Radio frequency identification is used to track chips. They're embedded in cards as well. They can be embedded in different places where you may want to track someone. Okay, so passport is scanned as well. It's also there as well. So it's compared with database. RFIDs can also be used in contactless payments as well. Okay, so you don't have to actually. During the COVID thing, this is something really good. You don't have to actually physically scan it. It can not touch the device, not swap it, I would say, but you can simply contactless pay it. Monitoring and tracking systems, public monitoring systems, obviously, Anchor Monitor uses RFID chip to give out the person's location and other details. It is tamper-proof that will alert authorities if tried to remove. Okay, yeah, obviously, that's how person's location is tracked. Then you have phone call tracking. Okay, service provider can track where the person is. Workers are monitored, tracked in several ways. Supermarket workers. Okay, so number of items passing through the tills over a period of time.